Hi, welcome back to my channel, and today I want to do another one of my cat chats where I talk to you guys about comparison in publishing, or more specifically, why you should not compare yourself in publishing. So this cat chat is brought to you by a conversation I just had with one of my really close critique partners and friends, where I kind of had a little bit of a emotional breakdown with her because of some of the revisions that I'm going through and just my feeling of not being enough with my debut novel. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm completely out of the woods in the sense of this, but I am going to say that it was a really helpful conversation to have with someone who truly believed in my story and had actually read it and could give me a better perspective on the type of writing that I do and the type of story that I am trying to tell. And one of the things that she ended up telling me, which was really, really helpful, was that I cannot write the book that I think people are expecting me to write. I need to write the book that I wanted to write, that I set out to write. Now, what I mean by this isn't like, don't write a book that meets like quality standards of a publishable book, like, which is also a very subjective thing, so I don't even know what I mean by that. But yes, write as well as you can, write to your best ability. Like, don't phone it in. But what I mean by expectations is more of the story, characters, subjective things that are elements that maybe someone likes because they're a fan of that, versus like that's actually legitimately just better writing. So what I mean here is that, you know, there's always these ebbs and flows, especially when it comes to young adult publishing. And I have said before, and I will say until I take my last breath, that I really hate the concept of trends or trend watching within young adult publishing. But at the same time, I acknowledge that I don't think it's really going anywhere. So with that in mind, I do know that sometimes when you're publishing during a specific period of young adult publishing, you realize that a lot of books that are getting a lot of buzz or a lot of attention and excitement are a certain type. So we did have a period of time where we had a lot of dystopian, we had a time with a lot of paranormal romance, we had a period of time with a lot of very specific issue-driven contemporary, and now we're in a great wonderful renaissance of fantasy in young adult. You hear people talking about the different things they like and the things that they don't like about these trends and about these books that are coming out. And because I live on the internet and on Twitter and Instagram, I obviously see a lot of these conversations. Now, when I am looking into books to read as a reader fan, this is amazing. I get so many recommendations. I find so many new things that I can totally love. But being a writer, and being a writer on the cusp of debut, this is not always the healthiest way to spend my time. You do tend to, or I do tend to, end up comparing the elements of my book to the elements that people get really excited about in the communities I'm a part of. And when I'm just on the cusp of one of those elements, but not really like meeting those requirements, or however you want to talk about it, I get really paranoid. I think, oh, people are going to think that my characters are X, Y, and Z, and when they read my book and they realize that's not the character I'm writing, they're going to feel a certain way about it, like maybe I misrepresented my book or something like that. When really what it is that it's very hard to pitch your book. So you use a lot of keywords and a lot of hype words in order to get people to understand the general sense of what your story is. And then of course when they dive in and they're reading like 350 pages of your young adult novel, they realize that there's more nuance and there's more individuality, which is what I love about the wide breadth of young adult literature. However, these small moments of feeling like your book isn't meeting certain expectations can really get you down, especially when you're in the stage of like, yes, I can make changes. Should I make these changes? If I do, then it's kind of a different story than what I originally wanted to write, but maybe it's safer. And what I mean by safer is that there is definitely a way of seeing other people's books and other books out there getting all of this attention and all of this excitement, and to know that people are hungering for more of these books. And then if your book meets that desire, then maybe you have less of a chance of rejection. And at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. At least for myself, I have a very, very, very healthy fear of rejection in every aspect of my life. So when I think, oh, maybe this path has less of that pain that I could potentially go through from being rejected by my beloved readers, then maybe I should do that, because I have anxiety and this isn't helping, is this idea that people are going to reject me. And so I do go down those paths. I do end up spiraling, and I really had to have a friend kind of pull me out of that and say, but why are you trying to meet another person's molds and another person's expectation of what, you know, what a good story is, or what, you know, a strong female character is, or what, you know, a morally gray character is, or any of those things? Why are you trying to meet those expectations? You've read a lot of books. You are an actual avid fan of the genre you're writing in, and you have spent years writing this manuscript. Why are you still trying to fit this mold that is not right for this book? You should write the book that you genuinely set out to write, and then that, you know, that authenticity in your storytelling is what will hopefully shine through, and then people can gravitate to that, or people won't. That's another thing, is that in comparing yourself to other people, like their sales records, the awards that they get, the type of attention they get when they're tweeting about their book, that's problematic, because no one's journey is the same, no one's story is the same, so therefore no one is going to get the same exact reactions to their book. And to kind of compare your journey to another person's journey is really just the worst way to be spending your time, because it's only going to end in pain. And alternatively, if you're only comparing yourself to people who are not writing the same type of genre book you're writing, or writing the same type of category book you're writing, then that's also wrong, because it's just, there's no comparison there. And for you to be like, oh, I feel better because such and such, like, picture book got, you know, got this type of marketing push, and my book got this type of marketing push. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you even doing right now? It's not healthy. It's not smart. Like, you should never find your confidence at another person's expense. You should never find your joy at another person's expense. Your joy and your confidence in your work should come from your love of your work and your love of what you're doing. And the reason why we're writing is because we love stories and we love the community that we're in. And to put down one part of the community in order to lift yourself up, I just don't understand that. I don't think that that's sustainable. I think that that's the fastest way to become disillusioned, to lose your community, to lose your friends. I don't like that type of thing at all. And I'm not saying that anyone encourages this type of mentality. I'm just saying that I know that this can happen, especially in our lowest and our darkest moments. And I really think that the best way to get through is to come together instead of separating ourselves. And, you know, comparison is the best way to separate yourself from other people, because what you're doing is you're creating this chasm between yourselves, pretty much saying, how am I better than you and how are you better than me? And this is where, you know, this makes one of us feel bad no matter what, and that's horrible. And so I just think that it's really important to understand that no one is the same in this industry, but we all have similar ground that we can relate to each other with. And that's what's more important. You should only be looking at someone else and saying, this is our common ground. This is how we can connect. This is how we can relate. This is how we can be a community and support each other. And in that sense, you're always going to end up on top. You're always going to do your best and be your best and achieve great things. And certain points of this journey, I really do need to be reminded of that. And that's kind of why I made this video, because I want to share this angsty journey with you guys. Hopefully this rambling was helpful to some of you out there. I'm so sorry I've gone on for so long rambling about this, but I have a lot of feelings and they're all on the surface right now. So if you like this video, then I would really appreciate a thumbs up or a subscription to this channel. And if you have any comments or questions, I'd love to see them as comments down below, or you can tweet at me at CatShow. And I'll see everybody next time. Happy writing. Bye.